Hey, kids, how would you like to hear this on the screen instead of the great show you came to see? That's what you sound like. Honest. Please cooperate and do your part in keeping this theater quiet so everyone, including you, can enjoy.
Joker is always scoring on fake Bosnian beast, who Twitter will be trolling when he fouls out at least. MVP this season, nobody had a chance, and when he hits game winner, we're gonna sing and dance. And he will score, he will just score more and more, and he will score, he will just score more and more, and he will score, he will just score more and more, and he will score. Game time is no more. Joker's on fire. Your defense is terrified. Joker's on fire. Your defense is terrified. Joker's on fire. Your defense is terrified. Joker's on fire. Na 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 na.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into the DNVR Nuggets podcast, the DNBA Show.
It's a celebration cast. It's an MVP.
I know. I need that energy. I don't have this energy. It's like a scramble.
We got you, bro.
This thing that has been like hanging over our heads for 3 months now, like dropped at the weirdest time possible. The weirdest time. Just, I thought for certain it was coming Friday. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. There was like no reaction. I was like, I don't even know if I'm on right now. I feel ill prepared for this, but in many ways, I feel hyper prepared, as if I had been preparing for this for my entire life.
Exactly, dude. I mean, like that. We were like, should we go on? And we're like, to what? Talk about Jokic? Okay, whenever you want, like at any point for any amount of time, whatever I'm doing, fine. Let's go. Like I'm ready.
So I'll introduce the cast here. D-Line Co. I'm going to rank you guys by how much of Jokic fans you are.
This is fucked up.
I'm going fourth. Harrison Wind.
Oh,
Jokic a 9 on the fun scale. You'll never live it down, Harrison. You'll never live it down.
That's some bullshit, man. That's some bullshit.
Well, listen, you're at the top. You're in an elite company. Even fourth is a 1%.
I've got the third biggest Jokic stan on the show. Brendan Vogt, who only uprooted his life to move to the
Loser.
That's right. Made no sacrifices. Was really late to get to the party. But hey, I'm glad I'm here. Front row seat. It looks good.
Number 2, the man who has called him the top human on the planet. It's D-Line Co.
Hold on. Did you just award yourself top fan?
Because everybody, are we kidding ourselves? Come on. Of course, the number 1 top fan, the Jokic whisperer, of course, myself. No, guys, this is, it's funny the way that this dropped. It's almost befitting of Jokic the way that this dropped. Is this I'm surprised Shams even broke it. I'm surprised it wasn't just like come across the ticker on some like obscure little like not unreputable little like tweet or something. But it finally happened. Our bets cashed. Those all came through.
Oh yeah, they did.
So Friday night we're gonna have an MVP party on Friday night at the DNVR bar. I can't wait for that. But Jokic got it. Let me go to you first, Vogt. When it happened, like what you were the first one to see it. In fact, I think I saw it. I was driving. And I think I saw it because I saw you posting the shirt, and I was like, "What the hell's Vogt doing posting the shirt right now? Like, we got to get this out."
Yeah, it was really weird because I had no idea it was coming today. I don't think anyone did, and
would have been nice to know. Would have been nice.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? It was weird to have to scramble. You were golfing, so we're doing this show now.
I freaking hate golf. I was golfing while this drew. Like, it was like the worst thing that could have ever happened to me.
But look, we all knew this was coming. You know. I think we knew from even before those first round of public votes started being tracked. So it is no surprise, but it's funny. I wanted to get past my own reaction and get to everyone else's reactions because I just felt happy for Denver and Serbia And there's nothing better than basking in a vibey Nuggets timeline, you know?
Yeah. Does this feel Harrison at all? Like, I mean, it's weird to say because my number one emotion is I'm just happy for Jokic. Like, you know, we like genuinely love this dude the way that you love players, you know, their sports hate,
Not
their sports
me.
love.
Nope, not me. Mine goes well beyond those bounds. Mine are halfway unspeakable, but also should definitely vault me into the number one fan.
It's a little creepy, the degree of love you have.
No, it's terrible.
That's why you're too, yeah.
You've seen that movie, The Fan. It's a horror film about like the creepy, terrible fan. That's me.
That is a great movie, though. That's a really good one. No, but you know, you're happy. We're going to talk about all this. I'm happy for Serbia. I mean, we've gotten one of the joys of this gig for us has been getting to know Serbia and Serbians and learn about Serbian culture and the passion that they have, which far surpasses the passion of American NBA fans. American NBA fans, it's really more resentment. Like the average NBA fan watches the NBA through the eyes of resentment. Like dude, the Serbian fans, they are insane. You know, it's big for the city of Denver and for the Denver Nuggets organization. I mean, this is the biggest award the organization has ever received. I mean, it's in some ways the biggest achievement, you know, as an organization. And I feel like this is an award for Alex English, for David Thompson, you know, for Carmelo Anthony. I know it's a little weird, you know, coming off of that series or whatever, but I feel like for all the great players that came through it's sort of an award. And then, you know, obviously for his diehard fans, of which we are a part, it feels a little bit like validation, even though we saw it coming. You know, the MVP arriving today. And
that's why it's validation. We saw it coming.
Right. Well, I didn't even mean we saw it coming years ago. I mean, we saw it coming like days, weeks ago, where we're just waiting for the shoe to drop. But even when it hits, it just feels like we were right. You know, we get to all high five each other. Harrison, what of all those came to your mind first? All those things I just mentioned.
Oh, man. I mean, so like, I've been covering the Nuggets for pretty much Jokic's entire time here. I mean, you have also, Adam, but I don't know why, but my mind immediately just goes back to those first couple seasons. Like that's kind of the stuff I think about when I see Nikola Jokic, MVP. Like what? I still think about the shy rookie, like 20-year-old who came to Denver, didn't know really a ton of English, was so reserved, was so in his shell. And then like I think about the moments, his first triple-double, the 40 points in Madison Square Garden, and then just kind of how we saw the flashes. You know, like we saw the flashes here and there. And then the coolest part I always tell people about covering Jokic's rise is when the switch kind of flipped and when he kind of realized, oh, I am really fucking good. So that's what I think about. I think about him coming to Denver as this unknown dude who was really skinny and timid and shy, and him breaking out of his shell and realizing like, I'm the best player in the NBA, which is what happened this season.
Yeah, totally, man. I mean, all of those things, it is cool. That's how I have been today too. And I just posted on Twitter the first time the crowd chanted MVP. It turns out, I didn't remember this, but it turns out it was against the Brooklyn Nets. Jokic dropped 41 points and the crowd started doing MVP. And after the game, you know what we remember? It's funny because you guys will always remember this. In the post game, he's interviewed and Vic asks him about it and he says, oh, that was funny. And then he says, no, it's serious. And he goes, why so serious? Like he does the joking thing. And we all remember that quote. Like we've seen that quote chopped up and everything, but that was from the first night he was ever proclaimed the MVP. And that's like, you know, when Denver caught up. Eric, what are you thinking about as you reflect on this?
You know, like the journey of Jokic has been, as a Jokic stan, has been like so interesting because I mean, I guess it's like the beginning of a religion where like nobody's into it, nobody believes it. Like, all you do is you just go around and you evangelize this, and everyone like throws rocks at you.
Yeah, we're knocking on doors.
Hey guys,
yeah, dude, and like people are just they're like, and you're like, no, dude, this is the way. Nikola Jokic is the way, and so it's like. From that standpoint, it's like the sweetest of validation because you just knew something that other people, you know, it's like being in early on Bitcoin or something. Like,
oh, totally. Everybody that was in early on Bitcoin, they only talk about one thing, Bitcoin. And this is going to the moon, man. We're just like,
you're
working great for you because you have like $10 million in Bitcoin right now.
Also, and then also you're just like, I don't care. I'm not interested in that. So we were the wrong people, because you know what it's like to be on the other side of that. So
I am Jokic rich. I am a millionaire.
You're Jokic rich, dude. We're all Jokic rich. Oh my God. I'm
actually literally rich now from DraftKings. So
unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. So I mean, it's nice that it is now literally rewarding to be a huge Jokic stan, like where you get actual money for believing in him. But before it's like he has changed basketball forever for me, or he deals or encounters him. Like Adam and I talk about, like, we're really nervous what happens after Jokic retires and we're just forced to like watch normal basketball again, where like Nate Robinson is a star and like the team sucks and they hate each other and they're just like slogging through a Tuesday night in December and everyone feels it. Like, why are we here? What are we doing? Right. And Jokic just like fills basketball with joy. It's incredible, dude. So I don't know. Jokic is the best. Basketball's ruined forever. But during this time, it's like, soak it in, man.
Man, I can't stop thinking about how he's pushed my own understanding of what greatness looks like, you know, not just in basketball, but in any sport, that you don't have to fit into a certain box, that what makes a basketball player great. There's myriad paths to greatness, and uniqueness is uniqueness. And so I don't know, that watching Jokic did not conform to anyone's idea of what a basketball player should look like, a superstar should look like, and even more specifically, guys, a center should look like. This weird Golden State symptom where your center has to do two or three things really well to be able to stay on the floor in that series, or else they're useless. And as Shaq said today to Yoke, like, thank you for reinstating the big man. They are not an afterthought, and a center can be great. An unathletic center can be great. A seemingly doughy center can be great. And your vertical and your 40-yard are not your most important basketball skills or measurements.
Yeah, they are important, but Jokic is that good that like just over.
They're not essential. They're not essential, and I didn't know that. I actually didn't know that.
Control of the basketball, it turns out, is the most valuable skill in basketball. Being able to put the basketball wherever you want it to go, be that to another player that is wide open or into the basket itself. Like basketball control, this man he's a master.
And can I keep going really quick?
Great comments in like coming in right now, and it's cool because all of these guys are not all, but many of these people are people we've been talking to for 6 years about the same.
These are our homies, dude.
Alec Gwen and EG, and you know, you just see the people, and you're like, that's right, we were in the trenches, just taking the insults from everyone. That's like, you guys don't know, such homers, this or that.
Homers, like, yeah.
Apologists. And I want to keep this going too, not just what greatness looks like on the court, but what it looks like off the court. How someone can carry themselves, how someone can both take a deep breath and figure out how to embrace what it means to be an NBA superstar, but also not sacrifice his principles in terms of how he wants to carry himself, treat the people around him. We can't pretend to know the guy super well because we do this, but we get some insight. And, you know, we get that same window into other players. There is one Jokic, and the way he carries himself on the court and off the court, you know, we're privileged to witness it. I really feel that way.
Yeah, even if Jokic is not exactly what I believe him to be, like just the fact that he puts in the effort to make me believe it's enough for me. I'm in forever.
Yeah, but there's no other player or like even circumstance, team, anything where I was so high on them early on, and then like kept moving the goalposts. And this is why we joke about hot box and hot takes, but that was literally a thing me and Vogt would do. And we'd sit there and be like, okay, we thought Jokic could average 4 assists a game as a center, but I think could he average 8? Could he average 10? Like, and then you just kept doing it because he was the first one where we were so insanely high on. But literally every time we hedged our bet, every time we were like, but we'll see. It was like, no, we should have never hedged. He's freaking incredible, and he goes there. And one thing Harrison brought up that I think is so cool, people don't know this or don't recognize it. Me and Harrison started covering the Nuggets at the exact same time, and it was when Nikola Jokic arrived. So our story and our tenure is DNVR, even though it wasn't DNVR at the time, we kind of converged, but it really is the same story. It's the same path, and I just think that's so cool. And then obviously Eric and Vogt, coming along at different points as well, kind of the same thing, but it's all the same trajectory. It all began 100%. In 2015.
The four of us are doing this 5 times a week because of Jokic. That's not an understatement or an overstatement. Right. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, what people have to realize, and I think we do, and a lot of our audience does, there will never be another player that's anything close to Nikola Jokic in terms of how he plays, his style of play, just how a team is shaped around him, and how he is off the court too. Because, I mean, the guy is so unselfish. He just wants none of the credit. He just wants to win. He just wants to be a part of a team. And we're just so lucky. We're so lucky to cover this guy. We're so lucky to watch this guy. And there's never going to be another Nikola Jokic. And because of that, because of how special he is, like, the NBA missed the boat on making this guy like the face of the league. Like, to be quite honest, he is about everything that's right about basketball. He plays the right way. He just wants to win. He doesn't want any of the shine. It's not about him. Like, he's just all about the right things. And like, that should be celebrated. Like, that is what we want our superstars to be about, right?
Maybe. I honestly think some people don't. Like,
not everyone does.
Yeah, some people want their superstars to be a little bit.
But you know what, Wayne? Personally, preferences, I agree with you. I really appreciate it about Jokic. I do. It's a breath of fresh air. When I think there's a uniform. This is what I would mean with the greatness. Like, the basketball thing, there's this weird sort of aggressive kind of ego thing that's really deeply woven into American basketball culture. And the one-on-one, I will break you mentally, all that stuff. And Jokic has really sort of pushed that stuff to the side. And it's nice to see. It's not that it has to be that way, but it's nice to see an alternative.
Yeah. I mean, American culture really does weave into a lot of this. It's actually funny. It's like, it reminds me of the movie Wall Street, right? Where they're talking about, like, America doesn't hate the guy in the limo. They love that guy. Like, everybody's rooting for, like, secretly, even though they act like they hate him. And I do think there's something to that. Like, America doesn't want the humble hero. They want the guy that's like flipping everyone off and saying, whatever it is, that's what we love. So.
It's true, though. We did. Like Michael Jordan, I love the way he bullied his best friends.
They want you screaming at the guy just dunked on you and pointing and that kind of thing. And look, I like that stuff too. I mean, we all weave in and out. I mean,
I'm saying if I have a kid and I want him to become like the best basketball player ever, I'm saying watch Nikola Jokic and do everything that guy does on and off the court.
And he's like, no one can do that. No. Otherwise they would. So maybe I'll try to be Nate Robinson again.
There was an SNL sketch one time about Dirk, and it was kind of a dumb sketch to be honest. But I remember them being like, "Who teaches their kids to shoot this like effed up little falling over jumpers?" Like kind of as a gig. And it's true. Like, what would it mean to raise your kid to play like Jokic? Like, half the stuff he does is disgusting, and you're like, "What?"
Hey, can you volleyball tip this back into the rim?
Like, impossible. But it is so great, man. And even also what Harrison said, just all the memories flooding back, and that's really what it comes down to. And it's funny, the transformation of Jokic has been interesting as well because he's so different. You don't notice it over time. We've been with 6 years now. We've been following this guy. And it happens so gradually. But if you go back and watch him as a rookie being interviewed, number one, he can't speak English. And then, like, number two, he's 100 times more goofy than he is now. He has really gone through a process of where he still has that personality. Like, he's still the same personality, but he's much less like aloof. You know what I mean?
He's business first right now, right?
Well, I think when he first came here, he saw it as a way to like fit in. He saw it as a way to kind of become a part of the team in the locker room. He's like, "Oh, if I'm the funny guy, people are gonna like me."
Yeah.
He almost sold himself short, right? Reduced himself. And this is one thing about Jokic too I thought about today is, that Serbian documentary. We've heard it from him in so many different ways and forums, but he'll be the first person to tell you that he was like the last person to realize how great he was. He wasn't even thinking about the NBA. All of these things are almost news to him. And this was a guy who had to be dragged to this realization, like, greatness, historic greatness, not pretty good, not good, but like, bro, you maybe owe this to society. Like, get out there and do this. And he has embraced it. And we've sort of seen this evolution of there's that core of him, that little brother who wants to joke. But he's added all these pieces of what it means to be a superstar.
Yeah.
Harrison, do you have ad reads lined up? we can hit our first ad break. On the other side, I kind of want to do the history of Jokic. I kind of want to walk down memory lane and just go in chronological order, starting with Summer League. That was the first time. We can go to the draft if you want to go to the draft or wherever everybody first.
I mean, it's the quesarito is the origin. That's what.
Well, we'll go back. We'll go back.
The actual birth.
Did you guys see that Taco Bell tweet? I'm going to send this to
Dude,
we'll get
Taco Bell, baby, in the club. Give us a little break here. Get through these ads.
Yeah, guys, make sure to pick up some Mile High City Copper Lager from Breck Brew this week. Pick up some tomorrow, so you got it for Game 2 Wednesday night in Phoenix. The Mile High City Copper Lager from Breck Brew, it's got that Nuggets Skyline blue can with the Nuggets logo on it. You can't miss it. It's perfect. Not too heavy, not too light, just perfect to sip on during games. So pick up some Mile High City Copper Lager from your local liquor store. King Super, Safeway should have it as well. You can pick it up from the Breck Brew Farmhouse as well. Also, you can now get the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped. It's out. It's available. Get it while supplies last. The Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped. You can get it for 20% off when you use the code DNVR at manscaped.com. Again, use code DNVR for 20% off at manscaped.com. Lawnmower 4.0.
Look at this avatar of this guy. It's an alien in front of the Denver Nuggets skyline. Did we lose you, Vogt, or did we lose myself?
Yeah, that's right.
You're good.
Adam, that's right.
So, by the way, Bayezid Ball, are you like foreign? I have no idea. I can't tell. Get back to me later in the chat. I'll let Harrison do his job.
The Lawnmower 4.0, big upgrade over the 3.0. You've got a 4000K LED spotlight. You've got different guard length sizes 1 through 4 on the trimmers. You got wireless charging. Get that Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped for 20% off with the code DNVR at manscaped.com.
Dude.
Dalton.
Come on, brother.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, man.
You're the real MVP, Dalton. You're the real MVP.
This is a good point. I don't know why I didn't assume this. They're from outer space.
Please.
From outer space, of course.
Yeah, that's actually, now that I think back, what a stupid question you asked.
Yeah, that's on me.
Is that it? Are we through the ads? Oh,
Yes,
that was
sir.
nice. Okay, awesome. All right, let's go back. Harrison, because I'm guessing Vogt and Eric are going to be behind you and I, but when is the first time you heard the name Nikola Jokic? Do you remember?
Nah, that's the thing I don't remember because I actually think I started covering the team a little after you. I was kind of in and out in that 2015-16 season, kind of doing it on the side. So I don't have like a firm first impression memory of Nikola.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I'm kind of the same way because I obviously remember Summer League because it was my first Summer League. I'm like, I'm going to do a great job this time as I'm just breaking into the industry. I'm going to try to really pay attention.
I wasn't at Summer League that year. I don't even know if I watched Summer League that year.
Yeah. The Summer League, it like really became a big deal around that time. If you remember Summer League, when LeBron was playing and even like Dwight and like that way, even Kevin Durant, it wasn't a thing that was on TV. Like the gyms were pretty empty. It wasn't a big deal. It really started to become a big deal around 2014-15 when all of a sudden it was an event that the NBA did a great job of marketing. But yeah, so I it's funny because I go back and I see tweets of me talking about Jokic and asking other draft analysts and just like, what can you tell me about him? But I didn't know anything about him. And it's funny. There's a picture I had at Summer League where I'm like, our first look at the new Nuggets. And it's like Moody. It's clearly trying to take a picture of Moody, but Jokic is in the background. Quite possibly the first time I ever saw him. I don't even know. But it was quick, man. Like that first, it's funny. I made that video for DNVR, the Jokic's Summer League, but really showed us all of his skill set back then. And if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage people to go and check it out on our YouTube page. But it is true, man. He did all the same stuff. He's shooting threes. He's running dribble handoffs and even running inverted pick and rolls and making passes. And, so that was, I thought coming out of Summer League, obviously it was like, hey, this guy's kind of cool. It's kind of unique.
It's crazy because he was probably like not even a top 5 attraction on that Nuggets Summer League team.
So
because you had
rank them. Gary Harris,
well,
Moutier's one.
I would say, yeah, Moutier was one. Gary Harris was probably 2.
Definitely.
Then you had guys like Ian Clark, Eric Green.
He was 4. He was 4 or 5.
Eric Green was still. We were still holding out hope for Eric Green.
Yeah,
totally.
Joffrey Laverne, who honestly,
dude,
he was there for sure. Yeah,
was definitely above Jokic. And then you probably could have made the argument for Jokic, because at least he was a Nuggets draft pick and not one of these like undrafted guys they scooped up. So he was far down the list, definitely like a couple tiers below Moody and Gary Harris.
Yeah, we forgot the draft night, him being the Quesarito. Another story about draft night is just that, when he was drafted, Jeff Morton always tells the story, but Tim Conley takes all these questions about Gary Harris and Jusuf Nurkic, and nobody asked a single question about Nikola Jokic, not a single one. And afterwards, he walks over to Jeff Morton and he goes, "You guys don't have any questions for Jokic? That guy's awesome," kind of a thing. Never even heard of this. There's the Quesarito, yeah. There's Taco Bell. He's number 1 pick in our book. Honest question, Vogt. How does this raise Taco Bell's Q score in your mind?
Oh, it's way up. And all jokes aside, I was kind of bummed that they hadn't acknowledged it yet. Like, it just sort of seemed like an obvious advert opportunity. Now, if sports media itself was slow to Jokic, I don't expect Taco Bell to be on it early. But also, like, Jokic was pretty heavy for a while there. Like, come on, how did they miss that? But anyway, it's nice. It's nice to see them acknowledge it. It's a fun moment for the culture. And to be honest, I think your question, Adam, like, what do you think of first? I think thousands and thousands of people think of that Quesarito. All jokes aside.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah.
I don't love that that's part of the Jokic lore.
It sucks, but it just is though.
But it's
escaping it.
It's amazing because it's like the most inauspicious roots. Like, it's just, it could not have been any lower.
He was asleep. There was a commercial on. Like, it's the most wake Jokic
part even better. I like that part even better.
He really should
make that part more.
Yeah, he had to be called to tell. Like, I think his brother told him.
Yeah, just like, get away from me. I don't care. So it's actually pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
First time, as much as I like to, take credit for Summer League and being high on him at the Summer League, like if you read the article I posted, I'm like, as I always do, I hedge the bet so hard where I'm like, he really reminds me of Mark and Pau Gasol. But I think I also say, worst case scenario, he's Pero Antic, who at the time was on that 61 Hawks team. It's like the all-time, like, Pero Antic came in the league at the perfect time when stretch bigs was like rare, and he could sort of kind of hit threes. And so it was like, hey, Pero Antic, valuable stretch time.
You know what's great about that is that I don't know where the first name stops and the last name starts in Pero Antic.
It could be Pero An.
Is it Pero Antic? Is it Pero Antic? It's like Piazzadora.
What is it?
It's like Piazzadora.
But the first time, if you guys recall that rookie season, like, he had a couple really nice games early on, and you're kind of just like, I don't know. So when he became the guy that I was like, oh man, this guy could be something really special, I really don't even know what that date was. I know it was his rookie season. It might have. Everybody points to that San Antonio game where he went. Denver lost the game, but he looked like a legitimate stud, and you're kind of like, holy crap, this dude is hitting for real shots and for real passes and stuff.
Yeah,
you make such a good point, Adam. The show's over.
Do you want me to tell my? You want me to tell my memory?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I'm a sick person. You know this. I'm very, very focused on the Nuggets. I have been for a very long time. It's the only reason you know me is because of my obsession with the Denver Nuggets. So, I had a very boring, very bad job where I would just sit in a cubicle and the part next to me was open, so I could talk to this one guy. And this one guy. No. John Till talks much more than I do. I know that's hard to imagine. Anyway, but he was Greek. He's from Greece. And so he's very tuned in to the world of European basketball and European sports. And so after the draft, I didn't hear him until the draft, but after the draft, he was like, yo, this guy won MVP of the Adriatic League. And I was like, shoot. Like, okay. Like, I'm interested in that could mean something. So he was a guy I definitely was super interested in. Moutier was the number one guy, obviously, because like at that point it was like a high pick. It was like he made like a few like amazing passes in summer league and then never again.
Well, this is one thing I remember because I was, like I said, still fresh in the game, so I didn't really know Tim Conley well, but I did have a few interactions with him. I think it was at a Stiffs Night Out party at Andy Feinstein's old bar, Jake's, where I went up to him and I was like, yo, I love Nurkic. I love bigs who can pass. This guy's incredible. And this was before Jokic came over, and he's like, wait till you see Jokic. That guy's the best passer I've ever seen. And I was like, I don't know, Nurk's pretty good. He throws that out.
Not bad on the short roll.
Well, that was the thing too, is that it was not at all immediately clear that Jokic was going to come over. Like it was like, oh, this is a draft and stash. This is like Peter Cornelet or something. This is like a guy that you're not counting on it. Like in a few years, maybe we'll like check back in. Maybe you'll hear about his name, whatever. Like, but then then he won the MVP of the Adriatic League. Then he came to Summer League, and at a certain point, it was like, yeah, no, you have to like you got to like you're good enough to play on this team. So
it was even if you think back, Eric, the order here is actually interesting because he has his rookie season and it's limited minutes, but he looks awesome and his like advanced numbers are off the chart. We're kind of like, I don't know, I think he's for real good, not just, you know how there's rookie good where a guy plays 5 minutes and he's like, I don't know. Zeke Naji this year, I'm kind of like, he looks like he might actually be good, but like, I don't know. It was way more than that. But everybody else thought it wasn't. They were like, we'll see what. But when it really clicked was in the Olympics that summer, because he goes through one season, and then I believe it's right after that rookie season that he goes to the Olympics and has a phenomenal Olympics. Just incredible. Almost beats Team USA, goes up against DeMarcus Cousins and this or that, and is incredible. And to me, it was, I don't remember where the moment was, but I just know going into the sophomore season, I was already like fully enlisted in the Jokic army and ready to like fight anybody, like, all right, that's it. We're putting our flag down. And that year started off so weird with the Nurkic Jokic pairing, it was a little bit strange and it got out, and then Jokic going to the bench, he just felt unwell, weird and stuff. But by the time he took over, of course, I can't believe, by the way, today, Harrison, Michael Malone screwed it up. December 12th, he says.
I know. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He was rattling off all our catchphrases too. He threw "we didn't skip steps" in there.
Unbelievable.
And then he was talking. No, he didn't throw in a "we don't back down." He almost did. I thought he almost did. Maybe it's coming. But yeah, he was talking about December 15th, and he said December 12th. Like, what the heck?
Well, so I have a question. So
Malone's a fraud.
Unbelievable. Well, so do we now have two high holy Jokic days where it's December 15th and now today? Does today become a new holiday?
What is the date today? June 8th,
baby.
No.
Today just needs to be like today just needs to be Nikola Jokic Day.
Isn't this the Ascension?
In Denver, Colorado.
Isn't today the Ascension?
Sure, Eric. And then so's tomorrow, and then the day after that.
No. This is like.
So what is that? Easter?
Yes. This is Jokic Easter. Like he
I'm
was
not familiar.
stamped. Well, not really, but he was made. He became a made man today. Jokic is a made man today. Like it's not up for debate anymore whether or not he's MVP caliber. He is an MVP of the league.
Totally.
Like that's not a question anymore. You can't say like he's whatever. Like no. Like this dude is the best player in the NBA, full stop. He won not by any small margin. He destroyed the field. It was insane. He got 91 votes for first place.
91 of 100 first place votes. Yep.
Yeah.
It not that it's like a violent thing, but it's like, there's no doubt if you're saying something far in the wrong, that a statistician wouldn't even count that as a result. You're like 2%. Like you're a variance, dude. Like if you say anything else. So
can I tell you though? I'm a little happy. This is going to shock you. I'm a little happy Derrick Rose got a vote. It's so ridiculous. Like,
if it wasn't going to be like unanimous, like okay, cool. Yeah. Let's get a little sentiment in there. Why not? F it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man.
That's a great comment right there.
Oh, call it. Yeah, my old one. Yeah. and probably premature call aboard the bandwagon. Hell yeah. I'm telling you, this is my style. If you guys know me, I always put these bullshit hedges in there. And
I know, dude. I keep looking at your hedges. Oh, you didn't have to hedge.
I just talk about 1,500 words. I'm staying up.
I know you believe
in the middle of the night because I was like so freaking hyped. And I've talked about this a lot. I talk about it less and less because it becomes a lot of old Uncle Rico stuff. But part of why I was so drawn to him is because it was like the form was there that I recognized. I was like, man, it's I always wanted to see this. It was almost like looking into a mirror and seeing like the best version of what you could have become. Obviously not an NBA player, but I'm just saying you see it and you're like, this is why I wish there was a Jokic 20 years ago, I guess now 30 years ago, because I wish that this is why it inspires me so much, is because I know there's a whole new generation of young players that are like, oh, I could do that. I thought I always had to go down and do this other dumb stuff where I had to be Kevin McHale and post up, rebound.
I had this same thought, man. And I asked Michael Mullen about this today because, like, when you're a kid and you see that the best player in the NBA, the MVP, is this guy who plays this way, like, kids are going to want to play that way. Like, this is going to bring a whole new generation of players who want to be an unselfish big man who's a great passer, and can play all around the court, can bang inside, can shoot the three, has great touch around the rim. Like, people are going to want to play like this guy. That's the underrated part, I think, here.
Quick counterpoint. Do you think anybody has ever modeled their game after Tim Duncan? Have we seen a wave of Tim Duncan type players?
No. Yeah, we haven't seen a wave of it but Jokic is a little bit
different though.
That's
man.
Right. I don't know if you can play. I don't know if you can play like Jokic.
Already in the driveway.
But I don't know if you can play like Jokic unless you're Jokic. Like I don't think it's a style of play.
Oh,
a center can be a point guard. Like a center can bring the ball up the floor. That is acceptable.
But none of those guys play even half of how you.
Eric, I'm telling you, this is one like where I'm speaking from experience on this as a tall player, where you would always go to the basketball camps or practices or AAU teams or whatever, and you're like, let me do this time, like let me initiate the offense, and it was always like, no, point guard initiate offense, big man set screen and rebound. And it's just that's what I'm saying is you're right that nobody just gets to walk in and throw the crazy passes and like read the court like that. But it's just the idea of like why we have a big man who can dribble and pass. Maybe not like Jokic, but why don't we use that to our advantage now and have him doing some of this stuff to confuse the defense? And that's what I'm getting at. So yes,
I found my first ever Jokic article. So my beginning was December of 20. What did it have been? It was the December that Jokic became the starter.
2016.
December 2016 was when I first started watching the Nuggets. My first article for Hoops Habit, I was the only person at the site writing about the Nuggets, if you can believe it, came 4 years ago. In an effort to upset my friends in the Northeast, it's titled "Nikola Jokic is a better prospect than Kristaps Porzingis." But I want to read this one section.
The coldest frigid take.
At the time, dude, it was
hot. Yeah, it was spicy.
But you're right. So here's me waxing poetic really briefly about Jokic. He lacks NBA-level explosiveness, but he finishes at the rim with ease. As a center, he makes passes that point guards don't see coming. No one actually calls him the unicorn, but he might actually be a better shooter than Porzingis. He's like a 6'11" Serbian Larry Bird.
Yeah.
I got it in writing 4 years ago. 4 years ago. So when I heard Pop say that, I was like, all right, maybe I'm not an idiot. That was the first time I felt like a not idiot.
Yeah, the first time in your life. I see some people saying that's American camp. Serbia is different. Well, one, that it's different now just in general. Like it's a little bit different from what it was. It's already moving a little bit in that direction. But two, it's still a matter of degree. It's still like Steve Nash talks about. Think about how great Steve Nash was. And Steve Nash was like, I never thought to shoot more threes. Like it just didn't cross my head because I thought I was already shooting so many at 4 or 5 a game. Then Steph Curry comes out and shoots 14. And he's like, well, why wouldn't I do that? Like, yeah, maybe I could have made, maybe not Steph Curry amount, but I could have made a lot. And I think it's the same with Jokic. Were there coaches in camps in which they would allow a little bit of this, like a little bit? Yes, but why? There was always this idea of like, yes, but that's the counter punch. The real punch is traditional. And I think Jokic breaks that in a way that's really great for basketball. And I keep bringing this up, but Bomani Jones, who I love, he's so on this about like, why aren't more people attracted to Jokic as a player? Because he's so, if you love the game of basketball, you truly love it. You love when a player or person causes you to rethink it because you love. It's like watching an old movie you love, but then finding out a new angle of it, and you're like, oh shit, like Easter eggs. Now I get to watch my favorite movie with new eyes because I'm looking for these Easter eggs. That's what Jokic is like. We're watching the game through new eyes, and we get to rediscover it all over again.
It's so true. He's just, I mean, it cannot be overstated how truly special of a human being he is. He's, as you know, the top human being here on earth. But just like, I don't know. It's funny to me that it's even like difficult for people to see at first, because to me it's just so glaring, like why this guy is so goddamn incredible. Although I get it, like sometimes you don't know much about a sport, like it just kind of looks like moving shapes. But man, as soon as you realize like what's happening even a little bit from a strategic standpoint, it's like, oh my God, like this guy is just destroying other people. Like he's just like mentally just breaking them.
To the point, Eric, where you find yourself in these debates and you go, okay, I've identified the difference. I watch him play basketball and you do not. Because if you did, you'd be on my side. And that's that.
I know. I'm so sad we're not at the bar to have Rakia right now. Like,
I know, dude.
I'm so pissed. I'm actually upset at the Nuggets for not alerting us to this. It actually makes me mad.
Well, it sucks that it happened right before like a night of playoff games. It was in the news cycle for literally an hour. You know,
it's so true, dude.
They should have released this Friday at 10 p.m. That would have been the perfect. Just bury it. Just
they pretty much did. They're like, anyway, here's Joel Embiid, and here's some Kia guy who doesn't know Jokic's name. So
Nikola Jokic.
No, that's unbelievable. That might have just been a COVID Freudian slip. Who knows? But
we have it. Oh my God, but terrible.
Go ahead, Harrison.
I was gonna say, are we still on this Jokic timeline type thing? Because there was another one I wanted to bring up.
Yes, I want to get back to it. Yep.
So March of 2017. So he's already the starter. December 15th has passed. He has the post up against LeBron. You guys remember the post up, right?
That's a mismatch for us.
Man.
It's a mismatch.
Yeah. So like,
oh my God,
they
beat. I passed out. I almost passed out.
They beat the Cavs, and in the third quarter, there was like a switch, and somehow Jokic ended up with the ball on the left block with LeBron James guarding him. And I was in the arena for this moment, and I swear it was like one of those experiences or just one of those moments that you never forget, because the arena just got totally silent. It felt like totally silent. And there was just a spotlight on Jokic backing down LeBron, and everybody cleared out and everybody just watched it.
Slow motion, right?
Yeah. It's slow motion. Everybody just watched it happen. Like two dribbles, little right hook over his left shoulder, and the arena, Pepsi Center as it was called back then, just erupted.
Dude,
absolutely erupted.
Harrison, you don't understand, like being on the other side of that, being part of the them that erupted. Like I stood up and I screamed, "He can't stop him! He can't stop him!" And I got lightheaded, and I literally almost toppled to what would have been my death, and it would have been fine.
Perfect.
Like that would have been a perfect time to go out. I would have been fine. I don't care.
I have this theory that special things happen for special players, like little moments like that. There's good players all the time, and they'll have a moment here or there, but great players, just great ones, like those types of moments find them. And when that moment happened, you kind of were like, man, this is awesome. He has it. He has this like mystique about him, this glow where even LeBron James can't stop him in certain moments or whatever. And that was so early in the trajectory and in the career, and it was a great one. The triple doubles.
I was just gonna say the post game moment was also big with that, because Michael Malone after the game goes, it was a defining moment, and then Jokic was asked about it by Vic Lombardi, and Vic was like, "Oh, that's gonna be something you remember forever," and he was like, "Nah, it was just a mismatch for us," and like it was no shade at LeBron or anything. It was just
Jokic is too naive to know that was shade.
Right.
It was Nikola just saying, I'm 6'11", LeBron is 6'8", 6'9". That's a mismatch for us. Like that's why I scored, because it was a mismatch.
How about the year for Serbia, by the way? What's the word for congratulations? Because I'm saying that to you. Just say
Živeli and move on. Come on.
People have sent me that so much, and I just want people to understand. I have no idea the difference between Euro Cup and EuroLeague.
Same. I know nothing.
People are all like, they did this. I'm like, what is one of those Olympics or something? I don't know what is going on here. I don't know. Europeans don't realize how little we know, and quite frankly, I'm not trying to be condescending, but how little we care about like the EuroLeague. Like we care about it the same way I care about NCAA basketball, which is like, how does this pertain to the NBA? Because it's the best league, it's the best competition, and it's just hard for whatever reason, it's an American thing to get to care too much about a secondary league, even though it has fantastic players, like really, really great players. So,
also, you guys are clinically insane for watching basketball at the hours that you do. All of you should go to jail or like receive treatment.
You guys remember this shot that Nemanya's talking about? Because I remember it.
Yes. The one that didn't count?
Yes. Yeah, dude.
Yes.
That was such a ridiculous shot.
But again, this is one of those special things. Like, you know how like Luka and Steph will always make crazy shots, and you're just kind of like, there's something to them that gives them this superpower. That was one with Jokic where I'm just like, of course he hit it. There's something in his brain that just makes him better than everyone. And he makes shots like that sometimes. There was the fastest triple doubles. The fastest triple-double ever. I mean, he put up some crazy when he goes into the Garden and drops the 40-piece on Porzingis. There just were so many big moments that
I think I put this one on a higher pedestal than others, but the perfect triple-double on DeAndre Ayton, I think about that all the time, specifically because Ayton is this prototype athlete, blue-chip American basketball prospect, a kind of guy who, if he didn't know any better, might have been looking at Jokic in that game thinking he's ready to feast. And it was just like the sort of ultimate display of what we were articulating earlier with greatness taking different forms. You just think like Ayton has since reflected on it and treated that as a learning moment. But I'll always remember that as one of the ultimate displays of like, yo, you think this is what matters? Like, bet. Like, I got you. We'll show you who wins this game.
Jokic has just been such a rewarding player to root for and to watch, and not even just, I mean, all of it. Just follow, just pay attention to. And this is why, I saw a lot of people, and we appreciate you guys. We've talked about this all the time, but we see some people saying that like we have made the experience better, or that we are a part of their experience of Jokic and this or that. And this is why I always laugh when there's the analysts, especially the local ones, that just want to like make the experience as annoying as possible by constantly reminding you by any shortcomings that happen, including with Jokic. Like, well, yeah, but they lost game one. And you're just like, dude, you don't get it, because the actual like emotional investment and the return you get on that emotional investment, if you allow yourself to, it's just been so worth it. And with Jokic, more so than any other athlete in my career. And that's why when people make those comments, I'm like, dude, say them louder, because all you do is push people towards us.
Yeah, well, I don't mind when people are derisive about a team that has no promise, that like doesn't lead you to an idea that you're going to feel good about something that's a farce. But like the Nuggets are the truth. Like, I don't know how far they're going to go or how far they're going to get, but I know that they're going to be emotionally rewarding. Like, I do know that, like, because I've seen what Nikola Jokic is. I see what Nikola Jokic does. It's incredible. It gets more enjoyable all the time. Again, like, even if God forbid, this is as good as it ever gets with Nikola Jokic, just the night that he wins the MVP and you feel this level of validation, it was 100% worth it, because it has been such an unbelievable joy. Like, the thing that you're looking for in life to enhance, it gives you joy to watch Nikola Jokic. He is a gift unto us. We need to, like, those who would deny Jokic. It's unforgivable. And because the reason
we have lived one of the greatest sports stories
for sure
ever.
I'm glad for you guys, as someone who came here and was able to sort of see you guys as lighthouse figures and figure this thing out. But you talked about how Jokic was almost passed by, by the national media. It almost happened locally too, right? I mean, folks didn't know, and with good reason. And when I got here, the Nuggets were at the bottom of that totem pole. I saw 2 Nuggets jerseys. They were Kenneth Faried jerseys, and they were worn by homeless dudes in the alley of 16th Street. But that was it. I went to a bar, asked to watch the Nuggets game. They said, we got the football game on. It was Tennessee and Kansas City. Like, we've come a long way. And, this boat was almost missed here as well. So, as a transplant, and not just trying to toot our own horn, but I'm grateful to you guys and all the other media members who stopped and said, hey, it's borderline our duty. It's borderline our duty to spread the word of Jokic.
This is why the Kroenkes really deserve a lot of sort of shame, and they really deserve everything people get, is because, as Eric says, Jokic is a gift to the city of Denver. It truly is. And to in any way create a barrier of entry for that gift to people is a crime. It's like, hey man, you can't wall this off from people. Give it to people. Force them to see it because it's so great.
Right.
There's two more moments I want to talk about though. One was game 82. That was my expectation of what Jokic was. I have always thought it was up here, but there are certain moments where you realize wow, I have even more faith in him. And that was one of them. Seeing him perform under that pressure at that level, I remember being wow, he's about it. And then the next one, believe it or not, guys, a weird one. Game 4, 2019 playoffs against Portland. Denver loses in game 3 in quadruple overtime. 0% chance. That's the odds I gave Denver to win game 4. 0% chance. Jokic is too tired, too quick of a turnaround, whatever. And the fact that he came out and played harder than everyone, had a phenomenal game and carried a victory, I was just this dude, again, that's one of those special things where I'm there's great players and then there's greatness, and he has greatness in him, as Austin Rivers says.
Dude, that was also what the conditioning stuff was really put to bed. Other people might bring it up, but you had a very handy response,
Yeah.
And this is to bring it to present day, why I'm not at all worried for the Nuggets against the Suns. I know that Jokic is going to come out and he's going to do what Jokic does, which is no part of me thinks that he doesn't give less effort in the first game because he's just kind of drafting in. This is what he does, and then he clamps down, and he's incredible. Jokic is incredible.
Yeah, he really is.
What people don't remember about that game 82, well, maybe they do, but Nikola Jokic was the only Nuggets player who played well in that game. If you just look at the starters, Jamal Murray, 8 of 18 from the field.
Are you talking about game 7?
No, talking about game 82 against Minnesota.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, 8 of 18. Will Barton, 9 of 22. Paul Millsap, 3 of 8. Wilson Chandler, of course, 0 of 3 in 48 minutes.
0 points, yeah.
Nicole was the only guy who played well for Denver in that game.
He carried him. And they had Jimmy Butler. A guy known for toughness and clutchness and everything. And it was Jokic so clearly the best player in this game.
He also got it done. The counter was yo, Taj Gibson, kick that guy's ass.
Yeah.
Literally go beat him up. And the refs were that's fine.
Yeah, it totally was. Let's take another break. On the other side, I want to wrap up the show by talking about, are we upset that there wasn't more fan or player interaction after this? I saw Luka Doncic congratulate him. I don't know if I saw anybody else. You guys can catch me up to speed. In fact, the chats, I'm sure will.
Nurkic.
Are we upset? Oh, Nurkic. Yeah, that's right. Shouts to Nurkic. Back in the club.
The first one.
We'll find out. But, I want to talk about that. And then I also want to talk about game 2, because this is our preview, episode heading into game 2. So I want to talk about what this award could mean carrying it into game 2.
Yeah, guys, are pumped to have Illegal Pete's back on board here at DNVR. And Illegal Pete's is also hiring. If you ever wanted to work Illegal Pete's, great spot, great food. Now's your chance. They're hosting a hiring fair June 9th. So tomorrow, Wednesday, at the South Broadway Pete's location from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then on June 10th at the DTC Pete's from 9 to 11 a.m. No appointment or resume necessary. Just show up. And if you're interested, but can't make it, you can email them, people@illegalpete's.com. They'll get you set up with an interview. Illegal Pete's, they care about their employees. They pay a living wage to all employees starting at $15 an hour, plus tips, free food and drink on shift, discounted off duty, 401k match, PTO to all employees, and options for health insurance as well for full-time employees. So check out that job fair with Illegal Pete's, June 9th at the South Broadway location, June 10th at their DTC location as well. And we also got to talk about just our great friends over at DraftKings who had to pay out a little bit of money. This afternoon, but I think they're still doing fine.
You know what? Because I'm sure they had to pay all of us But what was the world voting on? LeBron, Curry,
Right.
Embiid, like they raked up.
Like, how many people actually bet on Jokic to win MVP? 4? The
No,
people on
there's-
this show?
hey, man, no, there's been a lot of people
I'm
that
kidding,
have
I'm
been hitting
kidding,
us
I'm
up that have been watching this show. That
Yeah,
I'm telling you, we moved the line when we kept telling everybody to bet it. Like the next day, it jumped so much.
Yeah. Right now at DraftKings Sportsbook, if you are a new user and haven't signed up, this is a great time to do so. Pick any basketball team that's still in contention. Bet $1. If that team wins, you win $100 in site credits. It's as easy as that. Sign up with the code DNVR. Pick any basketball team that's still in contention. Bet $1. If that team wins, you win $100 in site credit. Make sure to download top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credit. Bet on the basketball team of your choice to win their next game. If you do, and if they win, you will claim $100 in free credit. That's promo code DNVR for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only, new customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. And finally, at StravaCraftCoffee.com, new users can get 25% off with the code DNVR25. Hit up StravaCraftCoffee.com. Get a Strava Craft Coffee subscription. Get that CBD coffee delivered every 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 weeks. And use that code DNVR25 for 25% off your first purchase.
All righty, great stuff there. Final segment here. I just want to ask what I let in there. So Nurkic, I saw, shouted him out. RJ Hampton's like a former teammate. Doesn't quite count, former teammates or whatever. But I saw Nurkic, who also a former teammate, so maybe he doesn't count either. And then Luka. Was there any other shout-outs? Did you see? I'm kind of shocked at how little. Like Jokic clearly not in the club.
Well, let's just address, I think, what's the top layer of this. Jokic isn't on any social media. He's not seeing that. He's not responding to that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's not interacting with these guys.
Wow. There it is.
Sorry, Eric. You're kind of chopping up, so I can't tell if you're agreeing with me or telling me I'm an idiot. But
or screaming, yeah.
I
don't know.
So I just look, a lot of these guys met Jokic for the first time at these recent All-Star games. And that's the extent of their relationships with him.
Good point.
So they could send that out into the ether and no one will care. So I think that's part of it. I do.
Yeah, I think it's probably a lot of it. I mean, there are definitely a lot of layers to it, but that probably is one of the biggest ones. It is funny when people will hop on. It happens on Facebook a lot, but it happens even more or it happens too on Twitter sometimes, where people will be like, "I just want to give a happy birthday to my mom." I was like, "She on Twitter?" No. Why are you
tweeting that?
Why are you tweeting that? What?
or like when somebody's like, "Oh, I want to shout out so and so," but they at them, but it's the wrong at. Like I could have seen somebody doing that with Jokic. Like if God forbid LeBron said congratulations, he would have just been at Nikola Jokic, but it's just an account that goes nowhere,
I do think it's interesting too. We obviously made the video about the Kobe prediction, but Kobe now undefeated and will remain undefeated for eternity on predicting MVPs. He had Giannis wins 2 in a row. He had Jokic wins. They had no other prediction, so that's kind of a crazy little thing.
Turns out Kobe Bryant knew ball.
Apparently he did. Kobe's also an interesting one because one of the layers is obviously a European layer. There's the American-born player, and Kobe is interestingly both. He's an American player who grew up in Italy, and so he has, I think, an appreciation for European players in a way that most American-born players don't, which I just think is kind of interesting. What do you think this does, Eric, for Jokic tomorrow night? Going in now, because I always thought this was going to be game 3. Home crowd, that was Denver's not losing game 3. They got the home crowd, the MVP award, all of that. But now it's weird. It's off night going into game 2. How does that affect things?
Well, first off, let me know if my audio sucks. I got relegated to a lesser internet. Yeah. Anyway, how does it play? I don't know. I want to run through a wall. I feel like I can accomplish absolutely everything. I don't know why Jokic would feel any less. He's humble, but that as soon as that thought hits you, you're your image in Times Square with a big stamp that says Nikola Jokic is the MVP. Like, and it's he's made in the whole world. Like, he's the MVP of the NBA. It's unbelievable. So yes, it's going to make we're going to see a residual effect from that. Yes.
What do you think, Vogt?
What's the question? Sorry.
What do you think, Harrison?
I don't know, man. I don't think it's really going to have any effect. Actually, I don't.
It would. Somebody in the comments says he's going to get a bunch of free throws. It would be hilarious if he gets like 18 free throws tomorrow. Like, you're the MVP. Of course we're going to get.
Yeah, it would actually be like in their best interest to have him get no fouls again. They'd be like, see, we don't have preferential treatment. Even the MVP gets no calls.
The league shoved it into such a tight window that there's a huge chunk of like NBA fans who probably don't even know he won it today. So,
do the refs know? Someone let Scott Foster know.
The refs might have been just like in the air on a plane. They might have missed it.
Yeah, are those? You think those bros are on Twitter? We could hit them up, let them know.
I don't think it's going to change it. I don't think it's going to have any bearing on the game tomorrow. No.
See, I think it will. And it's funny because Malone talked to today. He had the money quote there where he said Jokic is exhausted. And, you know, just kind of a interesting thing to even let slip or to say publicly. But I mean, it's also like, come on, we all know he is. But I do think that there is a little bit of extra pressure added to you, but also extra excitement that you get from like, I can't lose after winning the MVP. Like, I got to go out there now and demonstrate that I am everything. And then I'm sure Jokic too. I know he doesn't have the social media, but he has to know that one of the things everybody said, fair or not, after that last game was, Ayton and Jokic were awash in that game. Like, Ayton guards, Ayton can show up. Like, he's got to hear these things and be like, you know what? Got my MVP. I got to go out there and dominate this matchup just to remind everybody. You know, I feel like there's a little bit extra there.
I think one thing that it could do is with Denver's role players, maybe it inspires them a little because they're thinking like, all right, playing with the MVP here. Like, I gotta raise my game. I'm playing alongside the MVP.
Yeah, but also, you know, Jokic is the type of person that like looks at those 91 votes that were cast for him, and he's like, I can't let them down now. Like, I need to make sure they look good for picking me, like for believing in me. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think he's a person that like understands his role in people's lives that way.
Did we get a chance? Anybody go back and rewatch? I rewatched the game. I'm actually going to give it another rewatch to try to prepare a list tonight. But you know, Harrison, I'll go to you, Vogt. What did you think upon second viewing of this game?
Well, Caitlin Cooper made this really good point on Twitter that I think we've all seen now, which is part of where Jokic's exhaustion stemmed from, and a lot of that is Phoenix yanking him around the court like a yo-yo with all these actions. You know, he's coming out real high on a lot of these screens. And they are moving the ball a lot, and it ends up getting to the corners, and he's just flying around, and constantly having to move, recover, and it's like his burden, you know, on offense is like that's taxing in and of itself. He has nowhere to hide in offensive possessions, and now defensively, the Suns are just making all five guys move, particularly Jokic. So it's a big load, I think.
Yo, we saw zone at the end of that game. I wonder if we'll see it more so that Jokic is not he's not chasing anybody. He's just waiting for people to come to him.
I'll tell you what, that to me, that's like a little bit of a Hail Mary. Like, maybe we'll see it a little bit to spell him, because you are right that it could give you a break. And let's be honest, in that second half, Denver didn't get any stops. Like, you might as well play any type of zone or any kind of gimmicky defense if you're not going to get any stops. But you know, I'll see. I'll say this: when I went back and rewatched the game, you know, Jokic's fatigue level and the way he sort of fell off a cliff. I thought he was fine in the first half, actually pretty solid on
really good
game, and then just fell off a cliff at the exact moment. And I think those things go hand in hand. Phoenix got a little hot. He got personally a little cold, and it was a run. But I do think that the Nuggets are the team from the first half, and the Suns are the team from the first half and the second half. Like, both things are true. You know, Phoenix is a team that will punish you for every mistake you make. That's how good they are. I keep telling people, think of this Suns team like you think of 2011 Spurs. They're a team that maybe isn't flashy, maybe doesn't have the top end talent of like a Lakers or a Clippers, even though they have great players. But what they are is a very low mistake team that every time you drop your gloves, they get a little jab in there. And last night, Denver dropped their gloves, took a couple jabs, got knocked out. It was a knockout.
Yeah. Devin Booker had 8 assists in that game, and a lot of that was because like Denver just sent 2 guys at him in every pick and roll, every dribble handoff, and made him give it up. Devin Booker made a lot of nice passes, I thought, in that game after he had the 5 turnovers in the first half. In the second half, he made a lot of really good passes. So I'm curious to see if Denver continues with that strategy or kind of backs off a little and tries to make Devin Booker beat them more. The other thing that was really apparent to me, and this is what I wrote about after game 1, Aaron Gordon is like at the center of the Nuggets offensive game plan. I feel like Denver is really putting a priority on getting Devin Booker switched onto Aaron Gordon and then posting Aaron Gordon up. Like this is something
he's on him in large part because of the cross match with Gordon guarding him. And I think that's part of it is they're like, hey, every time they don't score, get down the court quickly and force him to guard you in the post.
Right. But a lot of it was like Jay Crowder was guarding Aaron Gordon, particularly in the first half. And then Denver would just run a quick like rub screen and get that switch. And then Devin Booker would be on him. And immediately, like Monte Morris, Facu, Jokic, they're all looking for Aaron Gordon in the post. So that seems like it's a huge part of Denver's game plan this series. Like maybe get Booker in foul trouble, maybe tire out Booker by just making him guard Aaron Gordon in the post because that's like a tough matchup. Yeah, that's going to wear him down a little. And it's a mismatch, you know, like Jokic on LeBron. It's a mismatch.
Yeah, he was punishing Devin Booker in the post. Like Aaron Gordon was like really making him work, and he made him look really bad a few times with like fouls where he not only got the foul, but he also got abused.
Right.
And I think it probably had an effect on his. You know, like maybe because he wasn't as engaged in the game, he maybe was a little bit tired. Same thing that we're talking about with Jokic. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Building off of Wynn's point, you know, if you are looking to get away from the double, we didn't see. I mean, we saw a fair amount of it. Gordon on Booker looked pretty good for times. I mean, I still don't know if you do that as a primary assignment all game, but it is something you can turn to if you're looking to get away from the double. He had 2-3 moments. That one sort of block, I think it was recorded as a steal, actually, where he just kind of took it from him at the top of the shot. But I thought Gordon looked great in that aspect. One last observation, DeAndre Ayton is a little, I guess, tentative is the word, with contesting threes, doesn't like to get all the way out there. I thought Phoenix was switching that in the fourth. They were getting smaller guys on Jokic who are more willing and able to get out there and contest that shot.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. Jokic's 3 ball is going to be really important, and fatigue plays a factor in how you shoot the 3. So, you know, I'm going to be interested to see how he does that. But I do think he's going to come out firing from 3. Like tomorrow, I'm going to take his over on 3-pointers because I do think it becomes such – there's some games where you know Jokic is like, okay, this is part of the game plan. I'm going to take 5 or 6 early because I have to. And so I think there's going to be opportunity there. Denver, we talk about how to stop them in the pick and roll. I think Denver, it's a pick your poison situation. I think the poison they might have to pick is Devin Booker and Chris Paul going nuclear from the mid-range, which they kind of did already anyway in that game. But what they also got was 30 assists. You know, 11 from Chris Paul, 8 from Devin Booker, 30 as a team. And it reminds me so much of that first game against Portland where it's like you can't give up everything. And Denver gave up everything. If you say Devin Booker's going to have 30, Chris Paul's going to have 30, they're going to combine for 60 points. But guess what? The assists are going to be 20 assists or under, then I think Denver has a real chance in that because they gave up 122 points last night anyway. It's not like they were getting stops. If you can get down to 110, and yes, those guys are going to look like superstars, and they're good enough to even beat you doing that, it's harder to beat you 2 points at a time off contested mid-rangers than it is off of everything, getting everything.
I think Bridges, Crowder, and Craig combined for nearly 50 points.
Dude, this is exactly what happened in the Portland game. Exactly.
It is really
simple. We give up Denver's defense, and the question is, can they adjust?
I know, but there also is just like we had absurdly hot shooting from unlikely sources that can swing it. You know, I mean, like if you, it's funny because I when you look at the stats, I mean, obviously watching the game tells a much better story of everything. But like, Denver had more 3-pointers than Phoenix did, and they scored more points in the paint, which boggles the mind. And then the only major difference was free throws, and it was vast. It was vast.
Yeah, well, there was a vast difference there. Did you see this tweet I put out today, Eric? And I guess I'll share it with everybody now. Let me see if I know how to do this again. Do I remember how to do this? Chrome tab, Adam, game flow. I saw this on Reddit. The top one is Denver-Portland game 1, and you can see the gray line showing you that at 8 minutes. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
8 minutes and 34 seconds. Denver was up 64-73. You go to the game against Phoenix with 7:30, so only just a minute difference. Denver's up 72-63. And if you look at this, close game, back and forth game, Denver's biggest lead. Close game, back and forth game, Denver's biggest lead. Collapse. And it's just so funny that it really does mimic it in every single way. And even the final score was almost identical. It was like 109-123 versus 105-122. So there is reason to think that this is a familiar script to Denver. And now you know. I don't know.
One difference, like Phoenix can get a stop, that's just the big difference to me.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, we'll see. They definitely did in this game. But Jokic went quiet. You go back and watch those looks Jokic got, and it was like one time he had 2 tip-ins that he missed, and you're just like, dude, he never misses 1 tip-in, let alone 2. So, and those weren't contested either. They were just like, what?
You know what it is too. It's like, we can break the game down however we want, like talk about every aspect, and it's just like Jokic wasn't good enough, and so the Nuggets lost. And like that, at a certain point, like that's really all it comes down to for the Denver Nuggets. Like all of this other stuff we talk about amounts to like 10% of the score, maybe. Like everything else is Nikola. Like everything else is Nikola Jokic, and if he is on one, like we're gonna win. And if he gets tired and kind of crumbles down the end, like we're gonna lose. And sometimes it's that simple. I don't know.
Yeah, it might be that simple. Last thing I want to do today, guys, is talk about just what this means now. I moved the goalpost the other day in which I talked about Jokic as the could he be the heir to John Elway's throne? And like people really misunderstood this. I was not saying he is. I was asking the question, could he be? But here's what's cool, man. MVPs in Denver sports history: Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg. Those are the 2 for the Avalanche. And, of course, both of those names synonymous with the city of Denver. Broncos, Elway, Terrell Davis, Peyton Manning. With the exception of Peyton Manning, John Elway and Terrell Davis, synonymous with the city of Denver. Peyton Manning, only because he had a career, prior to that. And then, of course, Larry Walker, synonymous with the Colorado Rockies. To me, Jokic, he really sticks out on this list. You've got the Broncos, you got the Avs, you got Larry Walker. Like Jokic he has already royalty. Like he maybe is not Mount Rushmore quite yet of all-time Denver athletes, but he's knocking on the door. He's like in line. He's in line for Mount Rushmore.
Dude, you getting crap for that take is so funny because it's kind of like all of these takes that are now starting to be realized about Jokic. The only barrier is the time that has yet to have passed. That is it. Correct. Once it does, we'll be there.
I mean, he's got to win a championship. Like,
of course.
Right. Like, I think that's the thing that people that's the reason John Elway is on the pantheon of Denver sports, because he won 2 Super Bowls. Like, Jokic can keep doing this and win MVPs, and he'll be there, but he can never take that top spot, I don't think, unless he wins a championship.
Absolutely.
And that is still going to be very, very, very hard to do.
The thing about it, though, is that John Elway is who he is in the city of Denver because he was here for so many freaking years. Like, it's literally 2 decades. It's my entire childhood. I was a baby. He came into the league. I was graduating high school when he left. Like, here, this is like an entire lifetime. And if we think about Jokic being 6 years into this, I mean, if he has an 18-year career, we have 12 more years of Nikola Jokic. Like, that's generations of Denver sports fans who grow up with him, and like that's all they know. And that's why I say, like, there's time, but at the same time, we're talking about an MVP. We're already looking at the MVP, the most valuable player. Denver has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in their history, 7 of them. And Jokic is one of them at age 26. That's just incredible.
I will say though, in the city of Dallas that is as equally football crazed as the city of Denver. Dirk Nowitzki won an NBA championship, MVP, and he still is nowhere close to Troy Aikman. He is nowhere. I think that it's maybe like just a Denver problem that they just don't understand. Like they'll come to it for sure, but it's going to be hard to supplant like what it is we're talking about.
But you're right when you talk about the cultural impact, and also just like the Denver in the 1980s was a teenager. Like it was it was coming into its own, and so Elway, you can't change that. Even though Denver is kind of in a rebirth, like in a new era of Denver, the city itself. But nonetheless, I still don't think that. What I'm talking about is at the end of the day, when we say who is the greatest athlete that's ever come through the city of Denver, there's at least a chance we say it's Nikola Jokic. He was better at his sport than any other athlete was at theirs. He's not there. Again, I'm not saying he's there. He's not. He has a lot of work to do, and the odds of him getting there are low. But it's on the table, and it's never been on the table before for a Denver Nuggets player, I don't think. So to me, that's what's so cool about it.
And the awesome thing also is that I'm very confident that Nikola Jokic will never play anywhere else other than Denver. And we always talk about like who's Mr. Nugget on this roster, but like Nikola Jokic is Mr. Nugget.
He's king. He's King Nugget, dude. He is Nugget. He is all that is Nuggets.
MVP is just like a scale like above Mr. Nugget. You're like too good for Mr. Nugget.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like you can make the case you'd rather be Mr. Nugget than the MVP. Like,
wow.
You actually just can't make that case.
It's a little more prestigious.
Honestly, like calling Jokic Mr. Nugget feels disrespectful. Like it's like a cute little nickname for the greatest player, the top human being on earth.
Mr. Nugget is beneath him, for sure. And Mr. Nugget's a prestigious award.
I know, but it's not our fault.
All right, well, let's wrap up and get out of here, guys. We will be back in the pregame show lounge tomorrow, obviously, for game 2. I'm going to go ahead and say this because I know Nuggets fans are always on edge whenever Denver loses a single game, even this one. I think Denver could lose game 2 and still have a very good shot of winning the series. Now, it's not the preferred path. You want to get a split and you want to come home and be like, okay, now game 3 gets more pressure. But this is a weird series in which there is a path where I see Denver falling down 0-2, and it's like, you know what, got to come home now. We just got to get the 2 back or whatever. So in that way, a little less pressure than a typical down 0-1 because it's happening on the road. But at the same time, Jokic got his MVP. I'm curious to see if this Nuggets team has another punch, some adjustments for him, a little bit of punch back. Would feel great.
You think that we'll see. I can't wait to see if the Nuggets respond.
Are they resilient?
This is so weird. Like we've never seen them in a hole like this before. Down 0-1 to a team there, like that might be a little better than them on some nights.
Well, you remember hanging out in the parking lot after games, and we're like, where can Jokic? How good can he be? MVP, the MVP. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with us, guys, late into the evening, or if you're in Serbia, early into the morning. We appreciate it. We can't wait. We will be back again tomorrow, obviously. We'll see everybody then.